I need to introduce you to somebody. This is TontonBatteuse.
And now a swap out, a little combination play, a blast burn on a low health Stunfisk for the 3-0 sweep.
All hail TontonBatteuse and his Shadow Charizard. He is your European International Champion 2023.
That's incredible. I don't know if you guys can hear it at home. In fact, I am actually sure you can hear it at home. The crowd is going wild for this French player.
TontonBatteuse was our 2023 Europe International Champion, and he also made it to a Grand Finals this season with spicy Pokemon like Arctibax and Seaking on his team.
Right away answered by the Arctibax. This is somewhat of a good matchup because you are that Ice type. The Lickitung has a Grass type. Charge Attack. Bottom is looking like, ooh, there's a fish. I'm going to use my Grass type. Charge Attack on that.
But before Play Pokemon, Tonton was known as a PvE trainer. He wanted the best counters for all the raid battles he could possibly find. I was browsing X, formerly known as Twitter, and I saw a very interesting post. Tonton said, I want to do my 75 unique Pokemon challenge for Master League Premier. Now, keep in mind, these Pokemon have to be maxed to level 50 to compete, and seeing 75 unique Pokemon across this format sounded insane to me. So I messaged him. Tonton agreed to share with me his footage of his incredible challenge. He had 58 of these Pokemon already built. He built an additional 20 brand new Pokemon to level 50 at a cost of around 5 million Stardust just for this challenge. So I can't wait for you to see it. Let's get into those battles. All right, I just want to warn you, these games are going to be pretty spicy. Let's check out what TontonBatteuse does in this battle number 1. If I remember right, he's going to lead Chandelure, and he's got a couple of ice types in the back. Yeah, Chandelure comes out versus Gyarados. Obviously, Gyarados Pokemon we see quite a bit in Master Premier, but Chandelure, not so much. We're going to see the Walrein switch in, met by Magnezone. This is really, really tough. Of course, the Earthquake from Walrein is going to deal a lot of super effective damage, but the question is, will it be enough, and do you just get KO'd by wild charges first? So we see the first wild charge get fired off. Tonton's gonna bait because he knows his opponent has a great lead situation. They're probably gonna want to maintain switch, so they do Protect Shield there. He's gonna look for probably an Earthquake pretty soon. Actually gonna no shield, I guess, hoping this might be another yeah, exactly, hoping it might be a Mirror Shot, but it is a wild charge, which means now the Magnezone is double debuffed, and Chandelure just absolutely turns that Magnezone into ashes. In comes Gyarados. We're going to see the Shadow Ball get fired off immediately. I wouldn't be surprised if Tonton actually switches here, and he does. He goes right for the Avalugg. It looks like Ice Fang Avalugg. Oh, when he switches into Dragonite, this is devastating because Dragonite can do nothing against the double super effective Ice Fangs. You have to Protect Shield up the potential superpower, right? But that's pretty much it. It actually turns out to be a Dragon Claw, so no big deal. Now the Avalugg has a ton of energy. Gonna throw the Body Slam. Great patience by Tonton to throw one Ice Fang and then the Body Slam. He gets the shield. He's queued up here for an Avalanche. One more Ice Fang gets him the Avalanche. So that's a game 1 win with a Chandelure double ice team in Master League Premier. Let's take a look at game number 2 here as Tonton gets queued up because, man, that was wild. You saw the lock-in. We're going to bring Dragonite with double Porygons. He's got a Dragonite in the lead. Let's check the combat powers because that is a best buddy ribbon on the right side. It's 4297, only 10 CP higher. But Tonton's his best buddy as well. I'm not sure if he actively has it as the best buddy. I don't think he does. But regardless, it's got a lower CP, so you just imagine it won't quite get there. It won't quite win the Charge Tech Party ties, right? Gonna use a Protect Shield on the first Dragon Claw coming through. He knows his Porygons can't really deal with the Dragonite, so I do like this play to stay in here and play out the mirror. If he gets a second shield, he might switch. Actually gonna stay, and he knows he can get the KO, which is massive. In comes the Gyarados. He's got Porygon Z on the field, and he's gonna go ahead and, oh, here comes Excadrill, right? This is a very standard Master League Premier team as well. Dragonite, Gyarados, Excadrill. Blizzard absolutely decimates the Excadrill, though. That's so much damage. And now we're going to see probably the Drill Run, I assume, connect. Yeah, you always want to throw the same type of attack bonus moves, right? Comes in with Porygon 2. Gonna look for the big farm down. Can he get it? No. The Excadrill does get to a charge attack here, but you can see Porygon 2 closing in on the Zap Cannon, and you know that's actually going to fry the Gyarados. In comes Gyarados. Down goes the Waterfall. Out comes the Zap Cannon, and this is a massive KO onto the Water Flying type. Huge victory there for Tonton. Game 3 looks like Luxray with Golisopod and Togekiss. Again, these are all level 50 Pokemon, which is absolutely insane to build these Pokemon, but Luxray in the lead versus Skeledirge is a little bit tough. Skeledirge, definitely a newcomer to the Master League Premier, but has incredible core breaking potential, right? Fire and Ghost with a Fairy type coverage move is incredible. We're going to see the Golisopod come in here. Golisopod in Master League, right? I caught one. I have the Hundo. I'm super happy. It was during the recent event, and I was able to catch it just randomly in the wild. I haven't built mine yet, but I'm interested to see how it does because dragons are obviously a little bit tough for it. You see another Gyarados, 3 games in a row, 3 Gyarados. I mean, you can pretty much expect that when it comes to Master League Premier Cup. Another Liquidation getting fired off here. Again, these battles are also in French, so if some of the moves are a little bit off in terms of my calling, my shoutcasting, please bear with me. My French is not that good, and Tonton's English is better than my French, so you gotta respect it, right? Here comes a move from the Gyarados. It is Aqua Tail. Not a huge deal. Togekiss can eat these Aqua Tails and the double resisted Dragon Breath all day long. He's gonna switch into Luxray now. Spark is doing a ton of damage, actually gets the farm down, and we get Florges coming in. Now you have Psychic Fangs, and it looks like Wild Charge on the Luxray. Finally going to give it a Protect Shield here, which does make sense, right? You're kind of running low on health. You know there's a Skeledirge in the back. Going to overcharge a ton, get to the double Wild Charges. I don't even know how much damage this actually does, but it's going to be crazy. It does a little less than I expected, right? But Luxray, again, is a little bit under level for Master League Premier, so it's tough. Second Wild Charge does get shielded. Actually, Charge Type Party tie, which is not the worst situation in the world because now your opponent's able to switch, right? But at least you bring out the Togekiss with a Protect Shield. You want badly to get to that Ancient Power. As we know, Incinerate is 5 turns, so you're going to get 2 charms for each Incinerate. Let's see if you can pace the Ancient Power. It's going to be really close. That's 3. That's 9 turns within the double Incinerates. Ancient Power is super effective, stab or not, and it is going to get the knockout. Final Pokemon is Florges. It's a race. Does he get to the Charge Attack first? Can Togekiss charm down? No! Gets to the Charge Attack, and this is going to be tough because Togekiss cannot take any more damage. Disarming Voice does pick up the knockout. So currently 2-1. All right, this team is going to go crazy. This is Empoleon with Gallade and Annihilate in the back, and he leads into Gholdengo in the lead. I don't know how this matchup is going to go. A lot of these matchups I don't know, but if you look at the back line, Gholdengo is really tough for that Annihilate and Gallade duo in the back, so he's got to do something about it right here. There's a single Steel Wing and the Charge Attack in the middle of the Hex. Great timing by Tonton. Hydro Cannon just kind of chips, but look at the CP difference as well. This Gholdengo is 700 combat power higher than this maxed out Empoleon, which means it's just going to be incredibly bulky. Does get a Protect Shield, but you have to watch out for the Shadow Ball, right? Shadow Ball would absolutely be devastating if it does connect. Oh, and he does double shield the Shadow Balls, which is a great call. Gonna go for another Hydro Cannon. Again, just wants to get this Pokemon off the field because Hex, Gholdengo is a core breaker for the back line. Gholdengo gets to another Charge Attack. I haven't been counting, but I assume this is another Shadow Ball, and it is 3 Shadow Balls. But now you can... Oh, actually brings in Annihilate to try to get the counter down, do that Steel typing. Single resisted counters actually pick up the knockout. In comes another Waterfall Gyarados. I think this is 4 games in a row we've seen a Gyarados. Shadow Ball does get fired off here, and that is going to take about 60 to 65% of Gyarados' health. Gyarados looking for the Aqua Tail. I don't think it's enough to KO the Annihilate. Speaking of Ghost-type newcomers, Skeledirge and Annihilate, both newcomers to the scene. Out comes Mamoswine! You got to get your counting just right because you do not want to take an Avalanche. Actually goes for a Leaf Blade in this situation. Gallade, not the bulkiest Pokemon, so this seems a little bit risky. I'm kind of surprised we didn't see the close combat first, right? Avalanche does connect, doesn't get the KO, but we're going to see actually Tonton building to 2-5 heading his way through this matchup. He's going to fire the Leaf Blade here to get the knockout, then have another Leaf Blade for the Gyarados. So maybe I was wrong. You got to trust in the Tonton, right? Trust in your EUIC 2023 champion. Comes in with a combo play. Wombo combo Night Slash is definitely going to get the knockout because Gyarados is barely hanging on, and that is another game win. Into this next match, it looks like Tonton's going to lead Hydreigon with Tangrowth and Skeledirge in the back. Now for this challenge, some Pokemon are Shadow, some Pokemon are regular, but still I counted them as unique because this challenge is insane. You're going to lead in with Hydreigon. Hydreigon looks like a flying type, but it's not, right? It's a dark and dragon type, so it is only going to single resist Frenzy Plant. Sludge Bomb's still going to hurt quite a bit. In comes a fairy type, he's able to immediately swap into the Skeledirge. Now when you see somebody hard swap a fairy type, it usually tells you it's ABB fairies, probably a second fairy in the back. So I'm curious to see how Tonton handles this. But at the same time, you've seen Venusaur, you've seen a Charmer, your Skeledirge just core breaks the crap out of that duo there, right? So you're in pretty good shape. We're going to see more Incinerates come through, trying to get the knockout, easily going to achieve that at the cost of 1 shield. In comes the Swampert, though. This is an interesting team, right? You've got Venusaur lead with Togekiss and Swampert as your trio. Oh, does not want to get hit with the Hydro Cannon. Very smart by Tonton to get some use out of this energy. Is going to fire the Disarming Voice, excuse me, and pick up the first Protect Shield from the Swampert. Not a big deal. I mean, you can pencil this in based on typings, right? He has a massive Tangrowth in the back. Brings that in. Tangrowth is almost like Guzzlord, right? You can't even see around it on the camera, but it does absorb that Hydro Cannon, no problem at all. His opponent top lefts, that's a GG's. That's a really tough alignment-based matchup because Skeledirge core broke the first 2 Pokemon. Tangrowth took care of the back. We have Glaceon, Milotic, and I think that's Gengar. This is wild. This challenge is absolutely crazy, and massive shout out to Tonton for sharing this footage with me because this is a treat. This is absolutely a treat. Gonna shield up the first charge attack here from the Florges. Looks like that was the Moonblast. No attack drop does occur. I think this knows Avalanche and Icy Wind if I'm not mistaken. That looks like Icy Wind, and it is going to debuff. We're going to see the swap into Snorlax. So Florges, Snorlax so far. Definitely happy to see this Pokemon here because you don't want Gengar lined up against it. But what do you do really? Do you bring in Milotic after you debuff? I guess that's the play. This Milotic running Dragon Tail with Surf and Blizzard. Milotic or Milotic? Let me know in the chat, or excuse me, in the comments. Gonna fire up the Surf here, try to chip down this Snorlax. There's not an easy way to win this matchup. It looks like you're just gonna have to wear your opponent down. Battle of Attrition. Snorlax can run Outrage. We have seen that occasionally for extra dragon coverage, but remember, Milotic is a pure water type, so we're going to see the Earthquake get fired off here. Looking for so much Dragon Tail damage, finally gets the knockout. And if you remember the lead Pokemon, it was the Florges. We might see it come in. Gonna go for the Surf. I like this. This is very judicious, right? You could have reached for the Blizzard. Your opponent has 2 shields. They know you have a ton of energy, so it's an easy call for them to shield. And because we're just a pure water type, these Fairy Winds are not doing too much damage to the Milotic. Gonna go ahead and take both shields with the Surfs, and it looks like the Fairy Wind is almost resisted based on how this Pokemon is just absorbing that fast attack pressure. Gonna see a Disarming Voice get fired off, coming in with that Gengar, one of my favorite Pokemon to play in the days of old and Ultra League Premier Cup in particular, but seeing it here in Master Premier is absolutely sick. Sludge Bomb does connect. Gyarados takes a big loss to its HP. Glaceon comes in here. Gyarados probably gonna fire off the Aqua Tail. Yeah, Hydro Q. Hard to say, right? We're gonna see the Glaceon fire for charge attack. I think this time it's Avalanche. Yeah, this looks like Avalanche. Icy Wind maybe would have been enough, but you don't want to leave too much farm for the Florges either. Gengar, actually gonna no shield, right? You're expecting double fairy type moves. It is the Moonblast. Gengar resists it. No attack drop. Another charge attack. You know the Florges is going to get to 2 charge attacks regardless, so Gengar is going to protect shield up the second one here. Does get to the Shadow Punch. This is definitely going to knock out the Florges. And Gengar is one of those Pokemon I thought might be good in Master League Premier a while back. It's really cool to see it succeed here in Tonton's 75 Unique Challenge. Next game, because we don't stop, we've got Hisuian Avalugg in the lead. Roserade and Charizard. This is an Excadrill lead in the front. We see a lot of Excadrill paired with Dragonite. We're going to swap in, this is terrible, to the Roserade. Getting met by the Skeledirge. Great timing by Tonton, great patience, but still, this is a negative matchup. He's going to fire off, looks like a Grass Knot into the Skeledirge, reaching for another charge attack, knows he can only fire off 1 more Poison Jab. And if he waited any longer, fired off any more fast attacks, he would have gotten farmed down by the Incinerate damage. You can't bring in the Avalugg, right? This is a terrible situation for Tonton to be in. Brings in the Avalugg because he doesn't want to show the Charizard off yet. You're going to absorb a charge attack here. It is the Shadow Ball. Hisuian Avalugg, very bulky. 38-66 combat power, which is huge for a non-legendary Pokemon in this cup. Going to soak both Shadow Balls, going with the Charizard now. I like this play a lot. Classic Fire type versus the new Fire type. No shield? Maybe counting the Incinerates for the Disarming Voice? No, takes a Shadow Ball anyway. This is really a really tough game for Tonton. There's not a whole lot he can do right now. Remember, it's Excadrill in the lead. He's got a ton of energy, but almost no health. Doesn't know the third Pokemon yet. I don't know that name in French. We're going to find out what it is because he fires off the Dragon Claw. It's Dragonite. Goes for the Blast Burn, and this is tough because you don't have any HP. Those Dragon Breaths are going to come through, and unfortunately for Tonton, this is a very tough match. Brings in the Hisuian Avalugg. Tries to fire off the Weather Ball here, maybe trying to get the knockout and see what he can do against the Excadrill. But at the same time, sorry, that was Icy Wind. At the same time, you're taking super effective damage from the Mud Shots. He just lets this attack through because he knows that Excadrill is going to outpace him eventually in the end. And if not, the fast attack damage would do it. Tough match for Tonton. We're going to roll into this next game, though. He's got Gardevoir, and it looks like Golem and Machamp in the back. This is Shadow Gardevoir, Alolan Golem. So we're going to see the fast swap into the Skeletor, just as Volt Switch Alolan Golem. So maybe you prefer the Rock Throw here for the Fire type matchup, but I think this is okay because you do have access to the Rock Blast. Crunch barely does anything, and he's able to fire up the 4-turn Volt Switch in the middle of the 5-turn Incinerate and get to the Rock Blast, which is huge. So Alolan Golem, a little bit bulkier than I thought it would be in Master League Premier. But heck, I've never built one of these Pokemon, so I don't know exactly how they'd play. This is a real treat to see Tonton do this. Now, we've got the Garchomp coming in. Ah, man, this is tough. I wonder if we... Okay, he goes for the Wild Charge to debuff. I was thinking because Electric is double resisted here, so maybe we throw the Rock Blast, but he didn't want Garchomp to get too much farm, so I understand the Wild Charge. Looks like a Sand Tomb. Counter swap into Magnezone. Purified Magnezone is absolutely getting folded up by these counters and all this fighting type damage. Steel just can't hang. It gets punched down. 2 Protect Shields. Opponent top lefts. Another GG's for TontonBatteuse. What a tough matchup for his opponent, but still very well played. We're going to see the Goodra lead this time with a maxed out Feraligatr and Excadrill in the back. Any kind of dragon matchup into Gyarados is tough. This is a legacy Dragon Tail Gyarados, which is honestly sick in its own way. And I didn't see the Goodra moveset, but I know, shout out to my buddy 20 Butters, running Draco Goodra in Great League. This looks like a Sludge Bomb Goodra in Master League Premier, so a lot of versatility in this Pokemon. Oh, excuse me, Sludge Wave Goodra, which absolutely slaps, but it does get shielded up. You come in with the Feraligatr here. Dragon Tail Gyarados has been really tough to deal with. Oh, this is really tough to get a defense drop. Gonna go for the Ice Beam because resisted Hydro Cannon is probably not enough. So the Ice Beam will pick up the KO. In comes Shadow Snorlax with the Best Buddy Ribbon. I need to check that combat power to see if it's the Hundo or not, but we do see the Hydro Cannon getting fired off here by Tonton. That is a 3679 Shadow Snorlax with Best Buddy Ribbon. Body Slam does pick up the knockout into the Feraligatr. This is a little bit tough, but he's going to have to rely on that Excadrill to carry him through. Going to come in with the ground and steel type Pokemon right away and go ahead and look for a drill run here. Maybe try to anticipate the catch. We don't see it. This could be a superpower and switch, right? So we want to be careful. Does use the Protect Shield. It's just a Body Slam. Unfortunately, goes for a drill run here against the Snorlax. This is not enough to KO, and it's really tough to catch a charge attack against a 1-turn fast attack user. Oh, actually, there's a drill in the back. Wait. Is this winnable? He's going to fire off the drill run here against the opposing Excadrill. If this connects, it almost knocks out. He's going to fire it off again right away, back to back, relatively speaking. This drill run will deal a ton of damage. It does knock out. In comes the Snorlax. It's got no HP. Doesn't even need to catch. His opponent just quits. Awesome. Awesome plays by Tonton. Awesome. Excadrill was MVP in that game. We've got a Garchomp lead here going to this next matchup. Garchomp lead into Excadrill. He's got Scizor and Delphox in the back. That is a level 50 Delphox in the back there for Tonton. Now we're going to see the Excadrill fire off a drill run into Garchomp, battle the ground types, but due to the pacing, I definitely give Excadrill a slight lead here, especially because you have to bait if you're the Garchomp, right? Oh my gosh, never mind. No baits needed. Absolutely decimates there with the Earth Power and still gets to another charge attack here against the opposing Garchomp. Doesn't pick up the shield though. We recognize just a Sand Tomb. Comes in with the... Oh, honestly, this is not bad, right? Because you're resisting the bullet punches on Scizor. You come in, you deal super effective fire type damage, and you're resisting the meteor... the meteor mashes and the bullet punches on Delphox. Core Breaker, I guess. We know this is another Meteor match, so no Protection from Tonton on this one here. That barely does any damage, so now Tonton can just furiously fire spin down that entire Metagross, which is absolutely disgusting. He's got a ton of energy here. He doesn't want to let it go to waste. Does shut up the Sand Tomb. I think that was a CMP. He's going to go for a charge attack here. Yeah. Wow. Okay. Delphox putting in work. Dragon Tail does come through. Another charge attack. I anticipate the fast swap into his Scizor. That's what we get. It does protect shut up the Blast Burn. This is a Night Slash Trailblaze Scizor in Master League Premier Cup. Tonton is cooking, okay? Tonton fires the Night Slash. Garchomp eats it. Garchomp, it looks like the opponent left the game. They gave up on the matchup. So now the bullet punches rain down. Shiny Garchomp with the Best Buddy ribbon goes down. And that's another win for TontonBatteuse in the Master League Premier. We've got Venusaur, Electivire, and Tyranitar. I'm really curious what this Tyranitar moveset is. Is it Bite? Is it Smackdown? We're going to find out. Going to lead into the Snorlax. And this is just the negative side of running these spicy Pokemon in Master League Premier. You're just so underleveled. Snorlax coming in at 3690, whereas Venusaur is barely peaking above 3000 CP. Goes for the Frenzy Plant here against the opposing Snorlax. He's basically at 2, and we do see the Protect Shield from the Snorlax on the first one. But if you're Tonton, you can't really switch, right? I mean, do you go to your Tyranitar in this matchup and risk getting hit by a Superpower? Maybe try to catch a Body Slam. It's a really tough situation to be in. Just gonna let the Body Slam through. I think Venusaur will hold on and get to a third Frenzy Plant here, which is absolutely beastly by the Grass and Poison type starter Pokemon. Gonna come with Electivire, sees the Thundershock down opportunity. He's gonna reach for it, but Snorlax throws a charge attack first. Looks like it is gonna be Body Slam. Great counting by Tonton. Comes in with Gyarados into Electivire. Pound the alarm. This is a terrible position to be in if you are the opponent, because Gyarados is really going to struggle. Fires off the Wild Charge, trying to get to another one. Does queue up the second Wild Charge. And this is like sticking a fork in a toaster. It's just going to fry that Gyarados. In comes Togekiss. That's why, right? They had 2 flying type Pokemon. It's a Smackdown Tyranitar. We're racing. Smackdown versus Charm. Super effective on both directions. Going to go for the Crunch here to try and equalize the playing field against the Togekiss. Or excuse me, Brutal Swing. Brutal Swing doesn't get the knockout. Switches to Venusaur. Gets the Vine Whip down. Venusaur gets KO'd. But the Tyranitar still has gas in the tank. And the Smackdown decimates the Snorlax. Knocks it out of the game. And wins it for Tonton. I'm telling you, these matches are insane. Make sure to go follow Tonton on X. Definitely show our EUIC 2023 champion some love, because he is a stud. Here comes Mamoswine, Samurott, and a level 50 Go-Goat in Master League Premier. We're going to see the Florges in the lead. A lot of Florges in Master League Premier this time around. Lots of Gyarados, lots of Dragonite, some Ghost types. So we're going to see the Avalanche get fired off here by the Mamoswine. I don't know exactly how this matchup goes, but I'm going to assume that Mamoswine has a slight edge just because it's a little bit bulkier. And you're able to fire off these avalanches, relatively quickly. 6, 6, and 5, right? Does trigger the charge type party tie. This could be the Moonblast. Tonton lets it through. Probably expecting a Gyarados in the back, as we've seen so many times. Moonblast does not get the debuff. And I might change my script here. It looks like the Florges might actually win this matchup in most cases. Goes for the high horsepower, it looks like, to get the knockout. In comes the Dragonite. Only takes 1 Powder Snow. You're forced to come in here with Samurott. You have Blizzard. But at what cost? Dragon Tail's adding up. It's dealing so much damage. Samurott takes a long time to get to the Blizzard, and your opponent's probably going to shield. It's a superpower. They switch into Gyarados. You bank the Blizzard, go into the Go-Goat, and this is a downside of not having Rock Slide, right? If you were Go-Goat with Rock Slide, you could Rock Slide the Gyarados. You could Rock Slide, I like the little shrug there, the Dragonite. But the Crunch comes through, it debuffs the Go-Goat, and that slows it down even more. Gonna throw the Leaf Blade there. And it does a little bit of damage. I've always loved the Leaf Blade animation. You can literally see the sword come out, right? Right here at the end, sword. Fires a Leaf Blade. Gonna look for the Vine Whips here. Recognizes the Gyarados is getting close to a move, so it tries to throw, but doesn't win the charge tag priority tie, or was just a little bit late. Come in with the Samurott. You just have to YOLO this Blizzard. Your opponent's most likely gonna shield, right? But you just have to try. If your opponent tries to flex, they will get knocked out, and they don't go for the flex. That is a win for the opponent there. Samurott couldn't quite get it done. We've got Como-O, Aerodactyl, and Hisuian Qwilfish in Master League Premier. Como-O against the Gyarados is not a great situation to be in. and you're only dealing neutral Dragon Tails. Meanwhile, you're receiving super effective Dragon Breath, so I would not be surprised to see a switch here from Tonton at some point. He's going to stay in, get an extra Dragon Tail, which is really nice. He knows this is either Aqua Tail or Crunch, both resisted. Doesn't need to fear them. No defense drop occurs. Actually, Tonton's staying in here against the Gyarados, wanting to get it knocked out and out of here so we can deal with whatever's in the back. Does get the shield, comes in with the Aerodactyl. I think that's Steel Wing, if I'm not mistaken, because the Rock Throw would have knocked out at this point. Aqua Tail does get shielded up. Yeah, that's Steel Wing Aerodactyl. Gonna go here for the Earth Power against the Swampert. This is a really tough matchup for Tonton, just being honest, because you're taking super effective Dragon Breath in the lead. Now you're gonna take a super effective Hydro Cannon on the swap. This one's gonna be pretty tough to win. Hydro Cannon does connect. Aerodactyl barely hangs on, but all it does is give the opponent more farm, making this matchup even more difficult. Swampert definitely a core breaker with this backline from Tonton. I don't even know what you do here. I guess you have to let this through, come in with the Hisuian Qwilfish and try to make something happen. This is Poison Jab, Aqua Tail, and it looks like it might be Acid Spray, if I'm not mistaken. Gonna let the Hydro Cannon through. I bet this is the first time the opponent's seen it. That's not a Hydro Cannon, that's an Earthquake. And I bet that was the first time the opponent has actually seen a Hisuian Qwilfish in Master League Premier. Unfortunately, was not that effective. We're gonna see Magnezone lead this time into Shadow Rhyperior, fast swapping the Poliwrath here and met by the Charmer Primarina, and his third is Sceptile. So again, Tonton cooking up some spice here in the Master League Premier. Fires off the Scald, doesn't get the debuff into the Primarina, and 3 more Charms will do the trick. Opponent actually going to allow Tonton to fire a second charge attack, wants his Primarina a little bit more low so that it doesn't feed that Shadow Magnezone too much energy. Actually, pretty smart play, finally goes for the Charm there at the end. And now, Primarina's got a ton of energy. Magnezone probably needs 2 Volt Switches, which is 8 turns. Primarina can get 2 Charms in, and, excuse me, just 1 Charm, right? Because damage from the Volt Switch should apply on turn 7. You see the Disarming Voice fast swap into Sceptile versus Mudslap Rhyperior, met by Togekiss. Oh, this sucks because your Frenzy Plant is resisted. Your Dragon Claw is resisted. Sceptile basically useless against Flower Crown, Togekiss, and we see Tonton hit that top left button. It's super effective. We're gonna see this next battle. He's gonna lead his Salamence, and I think he's got Kanto Golem. Yeah, Kanto Golem and Swampert in the back. This is a Mudshot Kanto Golem. Fast swaps it into a Gyarados. I think that he's just gonna YOLO the Stone Edge here, which I really like. Same type of attack bonus. Does take a huge chunk of Gyarados, but not enough. How was that not enough to KO a Gyarados? It doesn't make any sense. I don't understand the world anymore because that Stone Edge absolutely slapped. Gyarados, waterfalls down. We're going to see Dragon Tail Salamence come out. This is not great because he wasn't able to take switch advantage, obviously. And the Dragon Tail's another freaking defense fall from the Gyarados. He's going to allow the damage to come through because he wants to get to a switch timer. But this is tough. You can't get the Salamence out. It can only take 3 Charms before it gets KO'd. And then you have Swampert against the world, right? Swampert against the remaining 2 Pokemon with 2 shields. Charmers are tough to deal with, but even more difficult when they have both Protect Shields ready. We're going to see the Sylveon take the first Protect Shield from Tonton. It's going to be forced to fire the Hydro Cannon here. I wouldn't be surprised by a no shield. That's what their third Pokemon is. Yeah, they no shield it, which is absolutely brutal. Comes in with Metagross. Okay, so you're going to resist these bullet punches. Let's just map out the win condition here, right? You have to land probably 2 more Hydro Cannons. You have to break 2 shields. And you have to land 2 more Hydro Cannons onto the Sylveon. So, as you probably deduced, Tonton agrees. There's no way to win that game. Jumping to the next battle, it looks like we've got Hippowdon and one of my favorite Pokemon to play, Darmanitan, an absolute monster. We're going to see Florges lead, though, with the Hippowdon, Darmanitan in the back. Hippowdon with Sand Attack, a Shadow form at that, switches into the Excadrill. This is a pure ground type, so you're going to get same type attack bonus on your Scorching Sands. Does see the Annihilate switch in, and this isn't all bad. I think Hippowdon could put in some work here. Sorry to take a breath there. We're going to see the Annihilate fire for charge attack. Probably just going to be the Night Slash. Not a big deal because you have the Florges in the lead. Actually, turns out to be Ice Punch. Coming in with the Florges. Fairy Wind is not doing much damage at all. So, unfortunately, we'll probably need to shield a Shadow Ball at some point. But you know there's an Excadrill in the back and you want to save your Protect Shields. Annihilate actually baits, which is a very ballsy move by them. It doesn't pay off for them, though, because Tonton calls it. Actually, no bubbles, the Disarming Voice does get the knockout with the Fairy Winds, which is huge. Reaches for the Darmanitan, and it's Gholdengo in the back. You've got a double steal back line. Your opponent is absolutely getting cooked like meat in a skillet. We're going to see the shield come up here on the Rock Slide. Doesn't matter what you throw there as the drill, you're still going to get the shield from the Darmanitan. Actually tries to deny the Hex, but can't get the denial there. Goes for the Rock Slide against the Gholdengo. Gonna fire out the Incinerate. I expect a shield here because your last remaining Pokemon is the Florges with a ton of energy, but you're up against a Steel type. One more Incinerate, goes for the Overheat. If this one doesn't land, he's only one Incinerate away from the next one. Overheat doesn't connect. He gears up for another one. Here comes Darmanitan, absolutely roasting Spitfire this entire back line. Excadrill, Gholdengo can't hang. Both get decimated. We're going to see, I believe, a Shadow Dragonite lead with Stoutland behind it. And the third Pokemon on TontonBatteuse's team being Flareon. All right, let's see what he can do, right? Neither of your Pokemon in the back want to see Gyarados, so you're forced to stay. Shadow Dragonite unleashing the Dragon Claws, trying to deal some damage to that Gyarados and get it off the field. First Dragon Claw does come through. You know, this is probably Aqua Tail. I wasn't counting, but it could be Crunch, right? Is Crunch another... Dude, I'm telling you, the Crunch rate is much higher than Niantic says. It's much higher. Stoutland coming in for the Sand Attack down, which is resisted. I think double resisted, right? Which is crazy. Aqua Tails not doing much damage. Sand Attack barely doing any damage. Stoutland comes out limping from that encounter. In comes, I think this is a Dragonite. I think I saw Dragonite flying, so he goes for the Crunch. Tries to get the debuff. Doesn't get the debuff. Goes for the Wild Charge. As you can see, this matchup is pretty tough for Tonton. Double Dragon Breath users is really tough to lead into. Comes in with Fire Spin Flareon and tries to top left on the charge move and succeeds. Tough matchup for Tonton, but again, the spice, undeniable. Next game going in here, he's got his own Gholdengo, but in the lead we have Aurorus, and it looks like that's going to be Haxorus in the back. So you got a Chandelure lead. This is what Tonton started off this whole challenge with. But you need to land Meteor Beam, right? Meteor Beam is the key here. And let the charge tag through. It is Flame Charge. Can do 2 more Powder Snows. Baits here with the Weather Ball, trying to get up to the Meteor Beam, but wants to shield first. Chandelure trainers love to shield. Gets his energy, gets the Meteor Beam. This is going to be same type attack bonus. Super effective damage. And Chandelure wants to defend against it. Going to swap. Actually saves the Aurorus. Switches in, but unfortunately it's a Charmer. He brought a coverage move on his Haxorus, though. He's got Earthquake, which is going to chip down this Primarina just a little bit. Actually, quite a bit. Pretty low. At this point, I don't hate his chances here. He's got a 39-76 Gholdengo. He can bring it in here, look for some Hex damage. I mean, as long as you know this isn't Hydro Pump, it's safe to no-shield this and just go for the full Hex down. It's just Disarming Voice. Not a big deal. Gholdengo absolutely loaded. 2 shields, a ton of HP and energy. In comes Waterfall Gyarados. Not the best thing to see here in this situation, but it could be much worse. It could be like a Darmanitan, right? We're going to see the first Shadow Ball connect, switching in. The Chandelure tries to displace the damage and succeeds. And we're going to see the Chandelure fire up what I think is a Flame Charge. Gholdengo gearing up. Oh, this is so sick. He actually fires off the 3-turn Hex and the Shadow Ball, so the Incinerate doesn't even apply. He's going to sweep this whole team with Gholdengo because he's only 2 hexes away, and he got a free Hex right there against the Gyarados. Gyarados goes for the Aqua Tail, trying to outpace, but Gholdengo is just faster. Goes for the Shadow Ball. This is more than enough for a knockout, and he's able to pick up the win with an Aurorus Gholdengo team in that matchup. But it gets even more spicier as we move through the series. We're going to see Sylveon in the lead with Beware and Conkeldurr in the back. Instantly swapping it to Beware. This looks like Superpower and Payback. Magnezone has some payback of its own. If this is a Wild Charge, it would decimate the Beware. So we do see the Protection come up. And we're going to see a switch into Dragonite. You do have Payback, right? So as a Beware trainer, you can fire this off and deal a ton of damage to your opponent if it connects. And it does, dealing about 50% roughly to the Dragonite. And he graciously allows Tonton to get to another one, which is going to be nasty if it connects. And it does get the knockout. In comes the Magnezone. This is actually great, because you can fire off the Superpower here, right? I was going to say, if you're Tonton, you could get greedy. You could actually shield, because you know you get the Superpower. But he's going to keep his shields. Bring in Conkeldurr. Super effective counter damage is piling on to the Magnezone. Looks like Magnezone's going to fire off a Wild Charge, but he doesn't care. No, it's just a Mirror Shot. Great call by Tonton. In comes Mamoswine and Conkeldurr putting in so much work. Again, the moveset is Dynamic Punch and Stone Edge. So you're going to hit for super effective, but you want to go for the same type attack bonus, energy efficient charge attack. He's got Dynamic Punch already. He probably contemplated the catch, but didn't quite go for it there. So Conkeldurr is going to get knocked out. He's got Sylveon with full HP, and there's an opposing Magnezone with just a little bit left. So even if it's a Wild Charge, even if it's something outside of a Flash Cannon, Sylveon can win that game. Going to the next matchup, we've got I believe, Shadow Gardevoir this time with Snorlax and Pyroar. Excuse me, this is regular Gardevoir, but he's got a freaking Pyroar in the back, man. We're going to see the charms piling on here. Waterfall Gyarados, a little bit tougher in this situation. You wish it was Dragon Breath if you're Tonton, but you are bringing Triple Axle and Shadow Ball on this Pokemon. Aqua Tail does connect, looking for the Triple Axle, swaps into their own Charmer, gets a second Charm through. If I budgeted the HP correctly, I think Gardevoir can switch out of here and preserve its HP. Does get the boost there, as is tradition with Triple Axle. Comes in with the Pyroar, going to resist all these charms. Wouldn't be surprised to see a shield on the Ancient Power and Incinerate down. I think that's what we're going to get from Tonton here, as he does Protect Shield up the Ancient Power, looking for 2 more Incinerates. It looks like Flame Charge Crunch is the moveset here on Pyroar. Again, 31-29 Pyroar at Master League Premier. Where else can you get this? You can't get this anywhere else, okay? I'm just going to answer your question for you. You can only get it from TontonBatteuse. It looks like Dark Pulse, excuse me, it's not Crunch like I thought it was. We're going to see the Primarina switch in, but this is a bulky Snorlax with a ton of energy already stored up, trying to get his timing just right to maximize the amount of licks. Going to fire off the Body Slam here against the Primarina. Does deal about, I don't know, it's 15-18% damage. Builds up to the double Body Slam. Going to throw a second one right here. This will put this Primarina down into the red. Gonna look for another one, 2 licks, and then the Body Slam. Great timing by Tonton. This will get the knockout, but the question is, can he deal with the third Pokemon? Primarina actually going to shield and go for some more charms. I wonder if you just... How do you play this if you're Tonton? You shield, right? And then, I don't know. I would get greedy. I'd probably switch into Pyroar for the Incinerate. In comes Gyarados. I'm going to fire off the charge attack here, but remember, Pyroar has a ton of energy stored. So you can come in here and fire off the charge attack almost immediately. I think this is enough to KO the Gyarados, and Tonton with the Dark Pulse is going to KO Gyarados and win in Master League Premier with Pyroar. This video's been a doozy. Going to the next battle, we've got our Chestnut lead versus Garchomp with Primarina and Aggron in the back. This could be Dragon Tail Aggron, it could be Iron Tail Aggron, Smackdown Aggron. Not really sure what variant it is. We're going to see Garchomp fire for charge attack. Probably just going to be... Oh, actually, it turns out to be the Outrage. If you're Tonton, you know this is a Mudshot Garchomp. It's going to take neutral damage here from the Frenzy Plant. So you go for a second Frenzy Plant here. Chestnut obviously would lose the charge attack priority tie because Garchomp is just so much bigger in terms of CP. It's literally over 1,000 combat power higher than the Chestnut, which is crazy to think about. Earth Power does get protected up there. Going to go for the Super Power. This will pick up the knockout. The little Chestnut that could is going to look for the KO. Does get it. Looking for the instant pivot into Primarina. It's Gholdengo. Oh, man, but it's Waterfall Primarina. Now there's a freaking Magnezone in the back. This went from bad to worse because now if you're Tonton, you're really low on options. Going to fire off the Disarming Voice here against the Magnezone. Does pick up the shield, which is nice. And it's going to look to let this through. If this is Mirror Shot, Magnezone get an additional Volt Switch. It is the Mirror Shot. Primarina can't get to the Disarming Voice, which is tough. Coming in with the Chestnut, Magnezone has... I don't know if Mirror Shot's enough from here. It's going to be really close. It turns out to, in fact, be enough. Coming in with the Aggron, it's Dragon Tail. You can safely no-shield this, right? If you're Aggron, you're Steel, and I believe Rock, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, Steel and Rock. Attack drops, because of course it does, from the Mirror Shot. And just trying to chew through the Magnezone is really tough. Coming in with the Gholdengo, no way to win that matchup, unfortunately for Tonton. Gholdengo was the bane of his existence. Going to the next game, we've got a Machamp lead with Pinsir and a Master League Premier staple. This is Metagross. We're going to see the Avalugg lead, which is great for the Machamp. No swap out just yet because Avalugg is incredibly bulky, actually coming in 200 CP higher than the Machamp is. Also, sorry for some of the skips on the footage. I'm using Windows Media Player. It might just be a little bit slow, so I might try to use a different player next time. Gonna go for the Protect Shield here against the Avalugg. It will be, I think that's Crunch. Not a big deal. Does get the counter down. Switching into Floor, just goes to Pinsir. There's really not a great option here. But being a bug type, yes, your charge attacks and fast attacks are resisted, but the fairy type attacks are not going to deal too much damage either. They're just neutral, right? So Moonblast, I assume, is what this is, will come through. It's actually Disarming Voice, takes a ton of damage onto the Pinsir, which is really tough. Goes for the X-Scissor here. Just trying to win this battle by committee, right? There's no easy answer, no easy way out of this situation, so he's going to throw as much damage as he can. Another Disarming Voice, but Florges is definitely a problem. You do have the Metagross in the back, so team composition does look decent for Tonton. It depends a lot on the third Pokemon, of course. From his opponent, comes in with the Metagross. You don't have to shield this, right? You only have one shield left. This is resisted damage no matter what. Moonblast does connect. In comes Gyarados. Man, yeah. That's top left. Next game, we've got Heracross with Ursaluna and Incineroar, Wolflick's favorite Pokemon. We're going to see Conkeldurr come in here in the lead, which is not bad for the Heracross, actually, because you're resisting the counters. Granted, you do have to throw the close combat to get the knockout, right? This could potentially be Stone Edge, so I do respect the shield here. It actually turns out to be Brutal Swing. Opponent, very, very gutsy bait there. Goes for the Rock Blast. Tonton going to bait in turn. Does get the Protect Shield back. Goes for the close combat. This will knock out, I believe. Because this is same type attack bonus, it does knock out. Now at this point, you come in with the Metagross. Gonna switch into the Ursaluna. This is, I believe this is Thunder Punch, Ice Punch, Ursaluna. With Takedown, which is a little bit tough. You wish you had high horsepower in this situation. Meteor Mash does really hurt. Gonna try to build up to 2 charge attacks here. Fires off the first Thunder Punch, threatening the high horsepower. Does pull the shield, which is really nice. I don't know if Ursaluna would win CMP. I actually have a feeling that it would not. Metagross is actually such a monster in Match League Premier. It really kind of blows my mind. Some of the charge type party ties that it wins. I assume we see Incineroar here, and we do. This looks like Snarl Incineroar with looks like Blast Burn and Darkest Lariats, which is a really nice charge attack moveset. Correct me if I'm wrong, Tonton. Again, my French is not so great. Yeah, Dark Lariat. It's literally the name, one of the easiest names to translate, so forgive me. Blast Burn does connect. Metagross goes down. In the back is Magnezone, and the fire type damage straddles the matchups, transcends the CP barriers, and absolutely decimates the Magnezone. 2 more Snarls, and that is a knockout for TontonBatteuse. Going to the next battle, we've got a Gyarados lead, and yes, if you saw it, that is a Hisuian Arcanine. I don't even know the movesets on that Pokemon. If you put me in a tough situation, you told me to list off the movesets for Hisuian Arcanine, I could not help you. We're going to see Shiny Lucario as Tonton's third Pokemon in this team composition, but the Avalanche does get shielded up first on the field. Gonna look for an Aqua Tail here any second, and he does. Super effective Aqua Tail is definitely something that this Mamoswine needs to respect, and curiously enough, they have almost identical pacing, right? Takes about 6 Powder Snows for the Avalanche, and takes about 6 Powder Snows for the Aqua Tail, or 12 Dragon Breaths roughly. We're going to see the Aqua Tail come through again from the Gyarados onto the Togekiss. You kind of want Togekiss to throw some energy, but I have a feeling that it's not going to. It's just going to absorb the second Aqua Tail and keep on charming, and it does. Gyarados actually reaches the third Aqua Tail and throws it into the switched in Pokemon, which is huge because Gyarados put in a ton of work. Coming in with Lucario, patience pays off. Opponent top left. That looks like a Blaze Kick, a Golden Lucario, which would have been wild. Next game, we're going to see Beartic in the lead, which is totally wild, versus Beware. Opponent also spicy. He also has Hippowdon and Rhyperior in the back. This is a Powder Snow, Ice Punch, and Surf Beartic. If you knew the movesets for Beartic, let me know in the comments down below. Ice Punch does chip down the Beware. You have to fear the superpower Beware, probably building up to 2, but goes, I think, on charge type priority here with the Ice Punch, which is a really nice touch by Tonton. His charge type priority does weaken the Beware quite a bit. At this point, maybe you could consider not shielding, but does shield the first one, looks for the swap, catches the back-to-back superpower on the Hippowdon here, which is going to be neutral, but the superpower is weakened after the first one. Sand Attack's down as well. Tells us that our opponent might be weak to Hippowdon in the back. They're probably saying, what the hell, Hippowdon? Are you kidding me? But no, they have an answer. They've got Swampert. They're actually going to go for the Rock Blast bait here onto Swampert instead of the Scorching Sands. And this is different from the earlier Hippowdon because remember, Shadow one had Scorching Sands on the right side. Regular one has Scorching Sands on the left. Goes for the Hydro Cannon here. Doesn't knock out. Can still get to the Scorching Sands, which is huge in terms of overall damage output. And does chip the Swampert quite a bit. Swampert has a lot of energy though. He's going to be forced to bring in the Bear Tick. Look at this animation. He looks like that traditional Chinese cat that you see in some restaurants or some gift shops, right? That has the arm that comes down. It's really funny to watch. Ice Punch is going to connect into Swampert. Almost gets KO. In comes Venusaur, and it's Mud Slap Rhyperior. Oh, this sucks. Because you're going to take double super effective damage from the Frenzy Plant. Tonton trying to stay in this. He fires off, he uses Protect Shield, fires off the, what is this move called? Breaking Swipe. Breaking Swipe into the Venusaur, does not get the attack drop. Looking for another Breaking Swipe, but his opponent knows their Mud Slap Rhyperior counts apparently, and fires out the Frenzy Plant into it. Beartic needs the Ice Punch. Can it get there? Beartic clawing its way, but gets Vine Whipped down, and that is a GG's for TontonBatteuse. There you go, everybody. 75 unique Master League Premier Pokemon. I want to shout out one more time to the TontonBatteuse, the Frenchman who won EUIC 2023 and has had a stellar showing at multiple regional championships this season as well. I think he is the chef of Europe, the spiciest trainer in all of the kitchens around the world because the way he cooks is remarkable. Let me know if you liked the video down in the comments below. Show Tonton some support by following him on X, and I'll see you in the next one.